one being under the auspice of a family. Facts. You could call them the bankers, you could call them Illuminati, you could call them whoever. But they're all families that work through bloodlines. Somebody's always related to somebody in fucking London. This is a fact.
Our bloodline originated on the motherland. I will never refute that. Our bloodline goes back through time, millennia. There's no one book, there's no one movement that told you that you only stayed in a certain geographical area. That's not how we move as people right now. You get in a whip and you hit I-95, you take your show on the road. You and your crew get together, you and your bloodline and your clan, you get together and you transport your awesomeness and your splendorness elsewhere. You procreate, right? You meet up with other women from other places and stuff like that. You create royal bloodlines. So it's not.
Yo, welcome to Harlem. I hope you leave that whole shit up. That's fly. But listen, the number one killer of black people, the number one killer is not the white man, right? Unless you want to talk about all the indirect, covert things he does. But if we talk about the decisions we make immediately, then the number one killer of black people is black people based on the decision they make to eat certain foods. Now they're gonna be mad and they're gonna twist it. You see, he really loves the white man. He getting the white man off the hook. Historically, he is what he is to present day. He been giving us hell. That's a fact. However, no one is behind you forcing you to eat them goddamn ramen noodles, right? And season that shit up like a gourmet meal with bell peppers and salt and pepper on it. No one's forcing you to do that. No one's forcing you to get that giant ass bag of Uncle Ben's rice. Now what they will say next is this, cause I gotta damn near be in a debate by myself with the potential detractors, right? The next day they'll say everybody can't afford to do the healthy life. So you're telling me you can't afford to fast? Cause last time I checked, fasting saved me money. You see what I'm saying? Now if we want to add something to it, if you were to get like Bladderwracks with sea moss, now you adding 92 minerals to your diet, and that is just shy of the 108 minerals that you need to sustain your body. Now others will contend, what about vitamins? Because I heard this before. But when you're talking about vitamins, you're talking about vitality and amen, the sun. There's a reason for that, or you could use it as a mnemonic device. If you get the sun during choice hours out the day, it'll produce the necessary vitamins for your physiology in order for you to sustain yourself. Okay? So your body can catalyze the elements that it needs to establish metabolism by way of getting the right amount of minerals, which you can get almost all 108 with sea moss mixed with bladderwrack seaweed, in addition to getting the sun at choice hours in the day. It depends on what vitamin you want. If you want vitamin B12, which the alphanumeric is very deceptive because B12 is an organism that exists inside of the small intestine called cobalamin. Okay, B12 is naturally produced during the hours of 9 and 10:30 in the morning. Okay, when you get the sun spectrum between 9 and 10:30 in the morning, B12 is produced. And what it does, it detoxifies the melanocytes, pardon me. It detoxes the melanin. And the reason why you want the melanin to go through a detox, because the melanin that it specifically helps as well. So it's born in the small intestine and it detoxes the melanin, and you have what's called neuromelanin. Neuromelanin is brain and central nervous system melanin. So if the melanin becomes intoxicated, which is to say the cells are not properly chelating or properly getting rid of harmful metals and excess in the human body, then it compromises your ability to think. So you start suffering from psychosis, not knowing when to go to sleep, which means being fatigued during different intervals of the day on a spontaneous basis. So we know B12 now is an organism, but they call it B12 instead of cobalamin. And there goes the word again, amen, as in the sun god, just like vitamin. 90% of America statistically is suffering from what? Vitamin D deficiency. Then you wonder why so much war and so much chaos. I'll tell you why. Vitamin D you can get in bulk around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, depending on if you're on the West Coast, you might be able to get it around about 2 to about 5. But if you're over here on the East, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock into sunset, you'll get vitamin D. That's just after the sun is in the zenith or at its highest or strongest point. The reason why you want vitamin D, because if you're vitamin D deficient, it offsets depression, stress, anxiety, and even in more acute form, suicide. If you're lacking in vitamin D, you're going to become depressed. It's an absolute fact. Vitamin D is naturally produced when the rays from the sun impact your skin, your largest organ. It produces it. Now, if you don't have vitamin D in your diet, which is to say, if you can't find yourself out in the sun between 4 and 6 o'clock, that's a part of your diet, sunlight. Because the lights that you're subject to do not biologically embed. So melanin being the first cousin to chlorophyll, melanin synthesizes light in similar ways that plants do for the purposes of vitality. So if you're not getting enough sunlight as part of your diet, then the lights that you are around that are artificial do not biologically embed, which makes you malnutrition based on light. So a lot of times we think about being malnutrition, we're thinking about nutrients. And most people think malnutrition is all about being skinny, but a person could be obese and be malnutrition as well, you see? But they never tell us that light is an essential source of our diet. And I'm going to show you how it really kills us. Because when a child is born into this world, after being in the womb of the mother for over 9 months, guess what happens? They're brought out of darkness for 9 months that they've been conceived, subject to the halogen lights of the hospitals. Not natural light like fire that biologically embeds that your melanin will process to create a communication for everything to keep running. No, what happens is not only do they use artificial lights when your child is born, but they use halogen lights, which is super sensitive to your neuromelanin, which is your brain and central nervous system melanin, which means what? That God gene, as some will say, or that consciousness that we call divine consciousness or the divine spark, or that which gives our children the incentive or the potential to be brilliant, their body is put into shock from the time that they was 9 months in the womb in darkness, and now not only be exposed to light, but one of the worst lights that you biologically can be confronted by when you first come into the planet. And you can kind of qualify this statement by you being in a house all day and coming out for the first time on a sunny day, and you get that headache because your body got to adjust, because it got to convert from melatonin to serotonin. You dig what I'm saying? Because serotonin is produced in the day and melatonin is produced in the night. So that transition is like unplugging a computer instead of shutting things down systematically. So when a child comes out of all that darkness, okay, some figuratively call it triple darkness, and then gets subject to the halogen lights of the hospital, it's as though someone just pulled the plug on the melanin process. And if you go into white people's households, what you'll find is they turn the lights on gradually. Their lights go like this, they rotate. Our shit is on one frequency just to destroy us. Because again, it has no biological embedding. We can't synthesize artificial light. And your body is thinking, okay, we're around light. Let's start trying to convert this shit. And what happens is the radiation from the light in your house starts causing a synthetic form of irradiation.
Peace. So since we're light bodies, right? We're people, so we light bodies. How does a person affect your light biologically?
Well, that's fly, because again, when we're talking about synthesizing light in the first place, what most people don't know is that melanin actually absorbs the UV radiation.